Have you ever noticed how some cars become bigger legends than the movies that made them famous? The 1934 Ford, driven by Michael McCord in The California Kid, is one of those rare machines. A car so pure, so perfectly rebellious, that it outshone Hollywood itself. It began as one man's dream in a small California garage. Pete Chapouris didn't build it for fame or money. He built it because he missed the soul of real hot rodding, the smell of gasoline, the crackle of a small block engine, the raw simplicity that defined a generation of gearheads. But fate had other plans. A single magazine cover caught the eye of a TV producer, and before long, Pete's black-flamed coupe was roaring down American living rooms in 1974. Overnight, the world met the California Kid, and a movement was born. Today, we're counting down 20 weird facts about McCord's 1934 Ford, the hot rod that started as one man's weekend project and became the blueprint for an entire culture. So buckle up, hit that like button, and let's take a ride through smoke, steel, and legend into the world of the California Kid. Number 20, built by a purist. Pete Chapouris' dream. Before it became a movie star, the car was just Pete Chapouris' personal ride, his vision of what a real hot rod should be. In the early 1970s, when polished resto rods and chrome overload ruled the car shows, Pete went against the tide. He chopped the roof, painted it jet black, laid perfect hand-painted flames across the fenders, and gave it attitude instead of perfection. It wasn't a trailer queen. It was driven, raced, lived. Pete's philosophy was simple. A hot rod wasn't supposed to be clean. It was supposed to be alive. He drove it daily around Southern California, leaving burn marks and admiration wherever he went. That rebellion in metal form would soon catch the eye of Hollywood. Number 19, from magazine cover to movie legend. In 1973, Rod and Custom magazine put Pete's 34 Ford on its cover alongside Jake Jacobs's yellow coupe. 2 cars, 1 photograph, and fate. That single issue landed on the desk of ABC producer Howie Horowitz, the man behind Batman and the Green Hornet. He needed a car that screamed rebellion, speed, and danger for his upcoming TV movie, The California Kid. The photo did the talking. Within weeks, Pete's garage-built coupe was shipped to the film set in Peru, California. Nobody expected much. It was a modest TV project. Yet that one photo launched not just a movie car, but a movement. Without that magazine, the California Kid might have remained just a local hero. Number 18, the birth of Pete and Jake's. When the film aired in 1974, the phone at Pete's house didn't stop ringing. Fans wanted to buy the car, commission replicas, or simply know where they could get parts to build their own. Sensing something bigger, Pete teamed up with his friend Jake Jacobs, yes, the same guy from that magazine photo, and opened Pete and Jake's Hot Rod Parts. Their timing couldn't have been better. They sold every component a nostalgic builder could dream of. Dropped axles, steel wheels, chopped tops, vintage speed gear, all validated by the California Kid's fame. The car wasn't just an icon anymore. It became the company logo, the face of traditional hot rodding. Half a century later, Pete and Jake's still thrives, proof that one humble hot rod built in a garage could spark a global movement. Number 17, built old school on purpose. In 1972, hot rods were changing. Polished chrome, plush interiors, air conditioning, and shiny paint jobs were the new standard. But Pete Chapouris wasn't buying it. He wanted to bring hot rodding back to its roots. His 34 Ford was deliberately raw. Flat black paint, hand-laid flames, steel wheels, bias-ply tires, and a small block Ford engine tuned for reliability, not luxury. Every inch was period correct. inspired by the late 50s Southern California street scene. The car sat low but not slammed, mean but not cartoonish. Pete wasn't building a toy. He was making a statement. At a time when most hot rodders were chasing trophies, Pete built something for himself. A car that looked, felt, and sounded like rebellion. He didn't know it then, but his throwback build would redefine what authentic meant for generations. Number 16, the wheel swap that changed everything. When Pete's coupe rolled onto the set of The California Kid, it wore magnesium American racing wheels. Period perfect for a racer, but too flashy for a rebel outlaw. The producers wanted something grittier, something a real kid could have afforded in 1958. So they swapped the mags for red-painted steelies capped with baby moon hubcaps. The transformation was instant. The car looked tougher, angrier, less show, more soul. Ironically, those steel wheels were only temporary, used just for filming. But when audiences saw the movie, that look stuck forever. To this day, most people remember the California Kid with red steel wheels, not the original mags. A low-budget decision from a TV crew ended up defining one of the most iconic silhouettes in hot rod history. Number 15, Hollywood's fake side pipes. If there's one thing Pete couldn't stand, it was Hollywood's obsession with cool-looking nonsense. During filming, producers decided the car needed side pipes, long, shiny chrome tubes running down each rocker panel. They weren't connected to anything. Completely fake. Pete hated them. They don't belong on a real hot rod, he'd say. But the producers insisted. It looks faster on screen. The pipes kept coming loose during driving scenes, scraping the pavement and forcing the crew to stop and reattach them. When filming wrapped, Pete unbolted the pipes and threw them in the trash. Decades later, he would laugh about it at car shows, people still asking him about those cool side pipes. His answer never changed. They were Hollywood lies, and I took them off the moment they yelled cut. Number 14, the hand-built C-channel bumper. Every real hot rodder knows. What you don't see often tells the story. Pete's rear bumper wasn't a stock part or a catalog item. It was hand-fabricated from C-channel steel. He cut, welded, and shaped it himself, eliminating the bulky factory bumper. The result was clean, tight, and perfectly proportioned to the body. It wasn't just about looks. The lighter bumper tucked closer to the coupe's rear gave it a meaner stance and better balance. It became one of the most copied features in hot rod culture. After the movie aired, dozens of builders started selling California Kid-style bumpers, all inspired by that simple C-channel bar Pete had bent in his garage. Minimalism, function, and attitude. That was the recipe. Number 13, the Holy Grail body. Among hot rod enthusiasts, the 1934 Ford three-window coupe isn't just a car, it's the Holy Grail. Sleeker than a five-window, rarer than a roadster, and pure steel from Henry Ford's original Detroit press. Pete's coupe had all of that. Chopped roof, flawless lines, and that perfect silhouette that every builder dreamed of. In The California Kid, it practically stole the screen from Martin Sheen himself. Every poster, every still photo, every piece of merchandise centered on the car's unmistakable shape. Its proportions became the visual shorthand for classic hot rod. After the movie, original three-window bodies skyrocketed in value. Every kid wanted one. Few could afford one. The movie didn't just make a car famous, it made an entire body style iconic. Number 12, Buzz's garage scene. One of the most memorable sequences in The California Kid happens in Buzz's garage, that gritty little shop where McCord's slides under the coupe, tuning it above a wooden grease pit. No fancy lifts, no spotless floors, just oil stains, wood planks, and a real sense of danger. Those scenes weren't staged fantasy. That's how backyard mechanics actually worked in the 50s. Pete's own car looked perfect even from below. Clean suspension, hand-welded brackets, functional exhausts. The realism of those shots grounded the film in truth. For viewers, it wasn't just movie magic. It was a peek into authentic hot rod culture, a world where ingenuity mattered more than money, and grease under your fingernails was a badge of honor. Number 11. The line that sold the speed. There's one line from The California Kid that every car enthusiast remembers. When McCord brags about his coupe, he says, 75 in 10 seconds. That single sentence turned fiction into legend. In 1958, the year the movie was set, that kind of acceleration was unheard of. It painted the kid's coupe as not just stylish, but genuinely fast. Was it true? Not exactly. Pete's car ran a healthy small-block Ford, 4-barrel carb, dual exhaust, and 3-speed gearbox, quick, but not a drag racer. Hollywood exaggerated the numbers, but the dialogue did its job. The words themselves gave the car power. Audiences didn't just see speed, they heard it. And from that moment, The California Kid wasn't just a car on screen. It was a myth on wheels. Number 10. Back to the real hot rod. After filming Wrapped, Pete immediately began undoing Hollywood's improvements. Off came the fake side pipes, the red steel wheels, and the camera mounts drilled into the frame. He patched the holes, repainted the spots, and restored the car to how it was meant to be. A working hot rod, not a movie prop. But not everything went back. The flames stayed. The stance stayed. The car had evolved, carrying its Hollywood scars like badges of honor. Even after the film, Pete continued driving it to local shows and cruises. Everywhere he went, people recognized it instantly, not as Pete's coupe, but as the California Kid. No matter how he tried, he could never make it just his car again. It now belonged to everyone who had ever dreamed of open roads and rebellion. Number 9. The name that outlived the movie. Before 1974, nobody called it The California Kid. It was simply Pete's 34. The movie gave it a name, and that name stuck harder than paint. It fit perfectly. Cool, dangerous, unforgettable. The California Kid wasn't just a character anymore. It became an identity for the car itself. Even people who've never seen the film know the name. It appears in magazines, car shows, and model kit boxes. Some builders call any black 34 Ford with flames a California Kid clone. Pete never intended that. Hollywood gave his car a nickname, but the world gave it immortality. The movie may have faded into nostalgia, but the name remains. 3 words that define an entire generation of hot rodders. Number 8. The most copied hot rod. After The California Kid aired, something wild happened. Everyone started building their own version. Across the country, black 34 Fords with red flames began popping up like wildfire. Some were heartfelt tributes. Others were straight-up replicas down to the wheel color and flame pattern. Fiberglass companies even started producing reproduction 3-window bodies, and model kit makers released California Kid toys and posters. It became more than a movie car. It was a blueprint. The 34 Ford became the template for what a real hot rod looked like. Chopped roof, flamed fenders, red steel wheels. Pete's personal creation had suddenly become public property. Walk into any major car show even today, and you'll spot at least one California Kid clone. Proof that a garage-built project from 1972 ended up shaping the DNA of custom car culture for the next 50 years. Number 7. The producer who saw the star. Behind every great story, There's someone who recognizes greatness before the world does. For the California Kid, that man was producer Howie Horowitz, the same visionary who produced Batman and the Green Hornet. Horowitz understood that a great car could carry a show the way the Batmobile did. When he saw Pete's 34 on that Rod and Custom cover, he knew instantly, this is the hero vehicle. He convinced ABC to rent the car, insure it, and design shots that would make it look almost alive on screen. Horowitz's background in stylized television helped him capture the coupe's menace and beauty. He used low angles, tight close-ups, and dramatic lighting to make it feel like a living creature. He was right. Audiences forgot the plot, but remembered the car. Without Horowitz's instinct, the California Kid might never have made history. Number 6, Chrome Delete before it was cool. Long before minimalism became a trend, Pete Chapouris embraced it naturally. He stripped his coupe of almost every chrome part. No shiny bumpers, no mirror-finish trim, not even a polished grille. Everything was either painted black or body color. Not because he couldn't afford chrome, but because it wasn't true to the 1950s hot rod spirit. Back then, young builders didn't have money to chrome everything. They painted their parts, let the metal show, and focused on stance and attitude. Pete studied those roots and recreated them perfectly. Ironically, what was once considered cheap became stylish again. Builders started deleting chrome intentionally, following the Kid's example. Less flash, more soul. That stripped-down, raw look became a rule of hot rod design, all thanks to one man's refusal to follow fashion. Number 5. The flames that never faded. If there's one thing everyone remembers about the California Kid, it's the flames. That perfect lick of red to yellow fire outlined in crisp white pinstriping. Those weren't a Hollywood invention. Pete had them painted years before the movie. He studied traditional flame jobs from the late 50s, designing them to flow naturally along the fenders. They weren't too wild, not cartoonish, just right. During filming, producers wanted to exaggerate them for drama, but Pete refused. These flames stay as they are. And they did. The flames became the car's signature, its heartbeat. Even decades later, they remain unchanged, retouched carefully, but never redesigned. Every clone that came after tried to copy those lines, but none captured their rhythm. The flames on the California Kid aren't just paint. They're personality. Number 4. Brotherhood of Vintage Tin. Before fame, Pete was a proud member of the Vintage Tin Hot Rod Club, a group dedicated to keeping traditional hot rodding alive. They weren't chasing trophies or magazine spreads. They built cars the old way, simple, raw, and true to history. The club believed in authenticity above all. No billet aluminum, no modern gadgets, just craftsmanship and heart. Pete's coupe was a vintage tin car through and through, built under the same philosophy. When the California Kid became famous, it wasn't just a win for Pete. It was validation for the entire club. They'd been mocked for being out of style, but suddenly, everyone wanted what they'd been building all along. Vintage tin proved something timeless. If you stay true to your roots long enough, the world will catch up. Number 3. The red wheels that live in photos. Ironically, the most recognizable look of the California Kid, those bright red steel wheels, wasn't part of the real car. They were added only for filming and removed immediately afterward. But Hollywood has a funny way of rewriting history. Production stills, posters, and behind-the-scenes photos all featured the car in that configuration. Those images became the official record. Decades later, when people researched the car, They saw red wheels everywhere and assumed that's how it always looked. Builders copied that detail religiously. In truth, the real coupe wore magnesium racing wheels for most of its life. But history remembers the movie version, the red steelies that defined the legend. A perfect example of how cinema can freeze a moment and make it eternal. Number 2, a legend that still roars. Half a century after it first burned across TV screens, the California Kid still commands crowds wherever it goes. The car has appeared at the Grand National Roadster Show, SEMA, and even the Goodwood Festival of Speed, always surrounded by generations of fans. Pete never planned for fame. He simply built a hot rod that captured the spirit of his youth. But fame found him anyway. The coupe became an ambassador for everything authentic about hot rodding, proof that passion and craftsmanship could outlast time and trends. Even today, the car isn't locked away in a museum. It still runs. The small block Ford under that chopped hood still growls when fired up. Every rumble echoes a promise. Real hot rods never die. 3 generations have now seen the car. Grandparents who watched the movie in 1974, their children who met it at car shows, and their grandchildren who discover it online. It isn't just a vehicle anymore. It's a living time machine. Number 1, the car that outlived the movie. Ask anyone today about the California Kid, and they'll remember the car. Not the plot, not the sheriff, not even Martin Sheen. The car is the story. The movie itself was a modest 1974 TV thriller, forgotten by most. But the black coupe with the yellow flames? Immortal. It transcended its origin and became one of the most recognizable silhouettes in American automotive history. Pete Chapouris' creation didn't just influence builders. It defined the soul of traditional hot rodding. It reminded the world that rebellion could be beautiful, that imperfection could be powerful, and that passion never goes out of style. The California Kid wasn't supposed to be famous. It was supposed to be fun. But sometimes the right machine meets the right moment, and together they create something eternal. A movie fades, a legend rolls on. 50 years later, the California Kid still speaks to anyone who's ever fallen in love with the sound of an engine or the glow of a midnight road. It's more than a car. It's a symbol of rebellion, craftsmanship, and the simple joy of building something with your own hands. Pete Chapouris didn't set out to change the world. He just wanted a ride that felt right, honest, and alive. But by doing that, he ended up changing the world anyway. Every spark from that engine, every reflection in that black paint, tells the same story: that passion doesn't age and legends never rust. So the next time you see a '34 Ford coupe with flames licking across its hood, remember this story. Remember Pete. Remember that sometimes one man's garage dream can become a global icon. And now it's your turn. Tell us in the comments. Which version of the California Kid do you love more? Pete's raw original or the red-wheeled movie legend? If you enjoyed this ride through history, hit that like button, share the video, and subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most unforgettable movie cars. Because here at our channel, we don't just talk about cars, we tell their stories, and every story leaves tire marks on history. Until next time, keep your engines warm, your hearts loud, and your wheels rolling.